Reducing salt in your diet may seem like a difficult challenge at first, especially if you're used to eating food that's heavily seasoned. Salt is one of the most common ingredients in cooking, and for many people, it's instinctive to reach for the salt shaker whenever a dish tastes bland. However, reducing salt doesn't mean sacrificing flavor. In fact, cutting back on sodium can actually help you rediscover and appreciate a wider range of flavors you may have previously overlooked. For individuals with high blood pressure or those looking to improve heart health, reducing salt is essential. Excess sodium is strongly linked to hypertension, stroke, and cardiovascular disease. But even if you're not currently facing those issues, lowering your salt intake is a smart preventative move. The key to making it sustainable and enjoyable is learning to replace salt with other ways of building taste, through spices, herbs, acids, and smart cooking techniques that bring out the natural flavors in food. The first step is awareness. Most of the salt we consume isn't added at the table. It's hidden in packaged and processed foods. Items like bread, breakfast cereals, sauces, canned goods, processed meats, and snacks are often loaded with sodium even if they don't taste particularly salty. That's why reading labels is essential. Check the sodium content per serving, and don't be fooled by misleading packaging. Look for terms like sodium, brined, pickled, cured, and preserved in broth. All of these indicate the presence of salt. Once you're more aware of hidden sodium sources, you can start making substitutions. Choose fresh or frozen vegetables over canned versions. If canned beans or vegetables are your only option, rinse them thoroughly to remove some of the added salt. Opt for no salt added versions of items like tomato paste, broth, and canned soup. When shopping for packaged foods, aim for products with less than 140 milligrams of sodium per serving, which is considered low sodium. Even better, choose plain ingredients and season them yourself. As you gradually reduce your salt intake, your taste buds begin to adapt. This process usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks, during which time your body becomes more sensitive to other flavors. What once tasted flat without salt will begin to taste more vibrant. Foods that seem bland will reveal layers of sweetness, bitterness, acidity, and umami that were previously overshadowed by the salt. One of the best ways to enhance flavor without salt is by using acid. Ingredients like lemon juice, lime juice, vinegar, and tamarind can brighten a dish and bring a fresh, tangy edge that mimics the effect of salt. A splash of lemon juice on steamed vegetables or a drizzle of balsamic vinegar over roasted carrots can make all the difference. Even the zest of citrus fruits adds aromatic complexity that elevates your meal. Don't underestimate how much a small amount of acid can enhance the flavor profile of an entire dish. Herbs are another essential part of your low-salt toolkit. Fresh herbs like parsley, cilantro, basil, dill, mint, and chives can completely change a dish, adding brightness, aroma, and color. Heartier herbs like rosemary, thyme, sage, and oregano provide earthy, warming flavors. You can use herbs in marinades, dressings, sauces, or as finishing touches to give your food more depth. Dried herbs work well too, especially when added early in the cooking process so they have time to release their oils and blend with the other ingredients. Crushing dried herbs between your fingers before adding them helps activate their essential oils. If possible, grow your own herbs at home on a windowsill or balcony so they're always fresh and ready to use. Spices offer even more options. Cumin, coriander, turmeric, paprika, cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, and chili powder are just a few examples. These spices can be used alone or combined into blends to bring character and warmth to any meal. Toasting your spices before adding them to a dish can intensify their flavors and give your food a more aromatic base. Consider making your own spice mixes to keep on hand for convenience. For example, a salt-free taco seasoning can include chili powder, cumin, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and oregano. A Mediterranean blend might include thyme, basil, marjoram, and lemon zest. These pre-made mixes can be sprinkled on vegetables, meats, or grains for a burst of flavor. Cooking methods also play a crucial role. Roasting, grilling, and sautéing enhance the natural sweetness and umami in vegetables and proteins through caramelization and the Maillard reaction. This process develops savory, deep flavors that reduce your reliance on salt. For example, roasting a head of cauliflower with olive oil, garlic, lemon, and smoked paprika creates a complex and satisfying dish without needing any sodium. Even boiling can be made flavorful if you infuse the water with herbs, spices, or aromatics like onion and ginger. These simple shifts can help you transform the way you cook and eat without reaching for the salt. With a little practice and creativity, you'll find that cutting back on sodium doesn't limit your options. It opens up a world of new and exciting flavors. Once you've begun reducing salt and adjusting your taste buds, the next step is building a flavor arsenal that keeps your meals exciting, satisfying, and deeply enjoyable. To do this, you need to explore not just substitutions for salt, but entirely new strategies for flavor development. One of the most effective techniques is flavor layering, the process of adding ingredients at different stages of cooking to build complexity and depth. It starts with your base, aromatics like onions, garlic, leeks, shallots, or ginger. Sautéing these in a small amount of oil until they soften and caramelize creates a foundation of sweetness and umami that brings body to your food. Once you've established a flavorful base, you can begin adding spices and dried herbs. These should be added early to medium heat oil or directly into the cooking liquid so they have time to release their full flavor potential. Toasting spices for even just 30 seconds can completely change their aroma and intensity, giving your dish a richer profile. From there, you can introduce your main ingredients, grains, legumes, vegetables, or proteins, and allow them to soak up the seasoned base as they cook. Later, near the end of the cooking process, add fresh herbs, acids, and finishing touches. This order of layering ensures each component contributes something unique and builds a satisfying final result. It's not about replicating salt, it's about building a new kind of flavor structure from the ground up. Another powerful strategy is infusion. Infusing olive oil with garlic, rosemary, or dried chili can create flavorful oils to drizzle over cooked dishes. These oils can add a final punch of flavor, helping ingredients feel more complete. You can also infuse vinegars with berries, herbs, or citrus peels and use them in salad dressings or as finishing splashes. Even plain water can be infused for cooking grains like quinoa or rice by simmering it with bay leaves, peppercorns, or lemongrass. These simple infusions build flavor at a foundational level and reduce the need to add salt later. Fermented foods are another secret weapon in your low-sodium kitchen. While some fermented products do contain sodium, they offer such concentrated flavor that you only need a small amount to make a big impact. Miso paste, for example, is intensely umami-rich and adds complexity to soups, marinades, and sauces. Low-sodium soy sauce or tamari can be used sparingly in stir-fries or grain bowls. Kimchi and sauerkraut, when chosen carefully or prepared at home without excess salt, provide tangy brightness and probiotic benefits. Yogurt, kefir, and buttermilk can be used to marinate meats or serve as bases for sauces and dressings, delivering tang and creaminess in one. The natural acidity of fermented foods awakens the palate much like salt does, but with added health benefits. Speaking of marinades, this technique deserves special attention. Marinating your proteins and vegetables before cooking can dramatically boost flavor without needing to season heavily afterward. A simple marinade might include olive oil, lemon or vinegar, garlic, mustard, and herbs. The longer your ingredients sit in this mixture, the deeper the flavor penetrates. Tofu, for instance, can soak up an herb-infused marinade overnight and then be baked or grilled to yield a deeply flavorful, salt-free result. Even starchy vegetables like potatoes or beets benefit from being tossed in spiced oil and roasted slowly. Combining methods like marinating, roasting, and finishing with an infused oil or fresh herb sprinkle results in dishes that are layered, balanced, and full of flavor. Heat also plays a role in stimulating the palate. Spicy foods activate pain receptors in the mouth, which in turn enhance our perception of taste. By incorporating a bit of heat, whether through chili flakes, cayenne pepper, fresh jalapenos, or even black pepper, you can make meals more exciting and reduce your reliance on salt. A touch of chili in a soup or curry adds that edge your taste buds crave. You can balance the heat with creamy elements like avocado, yogurt, or nut-based sauces to create harmony on the plate. Beyond flavor, texture is another key to satisfaction. Salt often enhances mouthfeel, so when it's removed, it's essential to add other elements that excite the senses. Think crunchy roasted chickpeas, creamy hummus, silky soups topped with crisp herb oil, or tender grains with toasted nuts. Contrasting textures, smooth with crunchy, chewy with crisp, help create a full eating experience that keeps you interested in every bite. Don't overlook the role of visual appeal either. Vibrant colors from fresh herbs, bright citrus, roasted vegetables, and whole grains make dishes more appetizing. When food looks exciting, it tends to taste better, and your brain registers more pleasure. The psychological impact of a beautiful plate helps compensate for the absence of salt. This ties into the broader concept of mindful eating. When you eat slowly, chew thoroughly, and truly pay attention to your food, you're more likely to enjoy its complex flavors and feel satisfied with less. Salt stimulates taste buds rapidly, but other flavor components, acidity, herbs, sweetness, bitterness, spice, need time to register. Slow, deliberate eating helps you appreciate these layers. Mindfulness also means recognizing habits and routines that are tied to salt use. If you always snack on salty chips while watching TV, that's not just about flavor, it's about habit. Replace those habits with flavorful, healthier options. Air-popped popcorn with smoked paprika and garlic powder, roasted edamame with sesame oil and chili flakes, or raw vegetables dipped in homemade lemon yogurt dip. By identifying and reshaping your routines, you create space for new behaviors to take root. With these strategies, reducing salt stops being about cutting back. It becomes about leveling up your skills and discovering a whole new flavor world. Once you've embraced the foundations of building flavor through spices, acids, and mindful techniques, it's time to address how to sustain these habits in everyday life. Consistency is the bridge between a temporary dietary experiment and a long-term transformation. To maintain a low-sodium lifestyle, it's essential to make your kitchen a place of empowerment, not frustration. The best way to do that is by reorganizing and stocking your pantry, fridge, and spice rack with tools that support your goals. Move the salt shaker to a less visible place and instead highlight your array of herbs, vinegars, infused oils, citrus fruits, and spice blends. Keeping these items in sight increases the likelihood that you'll reach for them regularly. Purchase or prepare spice mixes you enjoy so that flavoring meals becomes faster and more instinctive. Keep whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, and bulgur on hand as they absorb seasoning beautifully and can be used as bases for flavorful meals. Canned goods should be chosen carefully. Look for no salt added versions of beans, tomatoes, and vegetables whenever possible. If those aren't available, rinse the contents under cold water for at least 30 seconds to remove up to 40% of the sodium. Freezing your own cooked legumes and grains in small portions is a great alternative to relying on packaged items. This gives you full control over flavoring from the start. Cooking in larger batches is another key strategy for success. By preparing meals in advance, you reduce the temptation to fall back on processed, high-sodium convenience foods. Try making a big pot of lentil stew using onions, carrots, garlic, cumin, and paprika, then portion it out for the week. You can vary each serving with different toppings like lemon juice, fresh parsley, roasted nuts, or even a dollop of yogurt. Roasted vegetables store well and gain flavor over time. Pre-cook grains and store them in airtight containers to mix and match with proteins, legumes, and herbs. Prepping this way doesn't mean your meals will be repetitive. It means you've created a flexible base that can take on different tastes with minimal effort. One overlooked but impactful tip is to keep a finishing station in your kitchen. This might include a small tray or shelf with lemon juice, infused oils, fresh herbs, vinegars, and salt-free spice blends. After plating your food, you can taste and decide what it needs: a squeeze of citrus, a sprinkle of zesty, or a drizzle of chili oil. These last-minute touches often make the biggest difference and help food feel complete without extra sodium. Dining out is another area that can be challenging when following a low-salt diet, but with a few adjustments, it's manageable. First, choose restaurants that cook meals from scratch instead of relying on pre-packaged ingredients. Mediterranean, Indian, Thai, and vegan restaurants often offer highly seasoned dishes where salt plays a smaller role. When ordering, don't be shy about asking for no added salt. Most kitchens can accommodate this request, especially when you emphasize that it's for health reasons. Ask for sauces and dressings on the side, and avoid menu items described as smoked, pickled, brined, or cured, as they are often sodium-heavy. Taste your food before seasoning it, and if you bring your own small container of salt-free seasoning, you can enhance your dish without compromising your progress. Social situations like family dinners, holidays, or potlucks can also present obstacles. In these cases, the best solution is to bring your own dish that aligns with your preferences. That way, you're guaranteed something flavorful and healthy, and others may even be inspired by your recipe. You don't have to announce you're eating low sodium, just prepare something delicious, and the results will speak for themselves. Over time, Those around you may become more interested in cutting their own salt intake, especially when they see how easy and tasty it can be. Tracking your progress is another powerful tool. Use a notebook or app to record what you're eating and how you feel, not just in terms of sodium intake, but also mood, energy levels, digestion, and blood pressure. Patterns will start to emerge, and you'll see how reducing salt contributes to your well-being. Celebrate these small wins. They reinforce your motivation and remind you why you started. If you enjoy goal setting, challenge yourself to go a week or two without adding any salt during cooking, or pick a cuisine each week to explore and recreate using your new techniques. Japanese cooking, for instance, often uses miso and seaweed for flavor. North African dishes use complex spice blends like ras el hanout. Indian meals rely heavily on turmeric, cumin, ginger, and coriander. Exploring these cuisines can give you ideas for flavor combinations you hadn't considered before. Another essential aspect of sustaining a low-sodium lifestyle is listening to your body. The absence of salt can help sharpen your awareness of hunger and satiety cues. Salt-heavy foods often override these signals, making it easier to overeat. As you eat more natural, lower-sodium meals, you may find yourself feeling more in control of your appetite. You begin to recognize when you're truly hungry, when you're full, and when you're simply craving something out of habit. This is where salt reduction intersects with mindful eating. You eat slower, taste more deeply, and feel more satisfied. Your meals aren't rushed, they're savored. And that sense of intention and attention brings a level of pleasure that goes beyond flavor. It becomes about how food makes you feel: energized, nourished, balanced. That's a result worth holding on to. By the time salt becomes less central to your cooking and eating habits, you may start to realize just how much your overall relationship with food has evolved. What started as a simple health adjustment now becomes a more intentional lifestyle, one where flavor, nourishment, and satisfaction are all balanced in a way that serves both your taste buds and your body. One of the most encouraging signs of progress is when foods that used to taste normal suddenly seem overwhelmingly salty. This shift is your palate recalibrating, becoming more attuned to subtlety and less reliant on that one overpowering taste. Your appreciation of complexity and nuance increases, and your tolerance for processed foods begins to fade. Meals cooked at home, seasoned thoughtfully with herbs, acids, and spices, now taste more vibrant and real than anything you used to microwave or order in. The benefits aren't just in your head. Physically, many people experience reduced bloating, better hydration, improved blood pressure, fewer headaches, and steadier energy levels after reducing salt. Mentally and emotionally, you may feel more confident in your ability to make lasting changes. The anxiety that once surrounded food choices, what to eat, what to avoid, how to enjoy meals without guilt, gradually dissipates. In its place is a growing sense of agency. You're no longer eating reactively, driven by habit or convenience. You're eating with purpose. Cooking also becomes more enjoyable. Without salt doing all the heavy lifting, you develop a deeper interest in ingredients, seasonings, and techniques. You learn what makes a meal sing. You understand how toasted cumin adds warmth, how lemon zest adds lift, how a fresh herb garnish transforms the experience. You stop measuring every spice and start cooking by instinct. Your creativity flourishes. You try combinations you never would have imagined before. Roasted carrots with smoked paprika and orange juice. Lentil salad with mint, lime, and toasted almonds. Grilled chicken marinated in yogurt, garlic, and turmeric. The possibilities become endless. Your kitchen stops being a chore station and becomes a place of exploration and expression. And because these meals are more satisfying, you're less likely to crave takeout or salty snacks that used to fill the gap. Over time, your habits shift automatically. You reach for water instead of soda. You crave roasted vegetables instead of chips. You enjoy the taste of whole grains, legumes, and seasonal produce because you've learned how to bring out their best qualities. Even your grocery shopping becomes more intuitive. You move past the middle aisles filled with high-sodium convenience foods and gravitate toward fresh, colorful ingredients. You stop obsessing over diet products and focus instead on real food with real flavor. You're more likely to choose foods that support your energy and well-being. This positive momentum builds on itself. The better you feel, the more motivated you become to keep going. But perhaps the most profound shift happens when you share your new approach with others. Friends and family start to notice. They ask what you're doing differently. They compliment your cooking. They're surprised that your meals taste amazing without added salt. You realize you don't need to preach, you just need to lead by example. When people taste for themselves how good low-sodium food can be, it challenges their assumptions. They begin to see that a healthier lifestyle doesn't mean giving up enjoyment. It just means redefining what enjoyment looks and tastes like. You can be the spark that helps others make their own changes. Whether it's cooking a salt-free holiday meal that gets rave reviews, teaching your kids how to use spices, or simply packing a delicious lunch that turns coworkers' heads, every small action sends a ripple. This creates a broader cultural shift away from overprocessed, oversalted food and towards something more wholesome, intentional, and satisfying. In this way, reducing salt in your diet becomes something much larger than a personal health decision. It becomes a form of self-respect, creativity, and even quiet activism. You show others that we don't have to settle for bland or unhealthy food. That flavor can come from nature, tradition, and skill, not just from a shaker. That we all deserve to enjoy food that supports our bodies rather than works against them. That eating well can be joyful, not restrictive. You've not only taken back control of your health, you've taken back the pleasure of food. And that's a win worth celebrating. The best part? There's no end point. As you continue experimenting, tasting, and learning, you'll keep discovering new ways to make food exciting and delicious without relying on salt. New ingredients, new techniques, new cultures, new memories, all waiting for you on this journey. And now that you've begun, you may find it's not just a dietary change, but a permanent upgrade to how you live, cook, and nourish yourself every day. Reducing salt isn't the end of good food. It's the beginning of better.